there is a number that has been burning in your head for 40 years. 59.5 years. According to Topic 558, the IRS, this is an age that will eventually allow you to touch your pension without having to pay a 10% fine. This is the part of your 401k provider that no one wants to say out loud. This rule was never meant to protect you, but to keep you working. Right in the IRS code that sets the fine. And you'll find a legal way to retire at 55, 50, or even 45. Real people are now walking through those doors. And the math behind it is so simple that no one will show you and make you angry. If you are sitting there at 52, 58, or 61, wondering if you missed the window, follow me, because by the end of this video, you'll be looking at the whole retirement system in a completely different light. Before we move on, do a quick intestinal exam. A 2025 planning and progress study by Northwest Mutual in April found that ordinary Americans now believe they need $1.26 million to retire comfortably. Now look what people have in the tank. The Pioneer, How America Saves 2024 report, which covers 2023 data, sets the median 401k balance at $35,286, which is not the distorted average of billionaires, but the median of the data. Most Americans who had saved about $3,500 by focusing on their $1.2 million goal were told the answer was to work hard until age 67 and pray for results. A Better Strategy book has been hidden from view since 1994. Let's look back. Back in 1992, two authors, Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez, published a book called Your Money or Your Life with almost philosophical premises. Every dollar you spend is part of the energy of your life, which means that if you can reduce what you need, you will also reduce the time you work for it. That book ignited the early retirement movement, now known as the FIRE movement, or financial independence. 2 years later, in October 1994, a financial consultant named William Bengen published a paper in the Journal of Financial Planning that laid the mathematical foundation for the movement. Mr. Bengen looked at the retirement window every 30 years in the history of the American market and asked a direct question. How much money can you safely set aside every year without running out of money? His answer is called the 4% rule, which means you put out a 4% portfolio in the first year, adjusted for inflation. And in almost all historical scenarios, your money will last at least 30 full years. Turn that 4% upside down, and you get a rule that quietly changes everything. 25 times your annual spending equals your retirement number. 60,000, 1.5 million a year, $40,000. You need $1 million. If you can live on $30,000 a year, $750,000 will permanently put you out of work. This is a trick the industry doesn't emphasize, because your retirement number is not tied to your income at all, but to your spending entirely. Now, really heartbreaking math. In 2011, Pete Adeny, a Colorado engineer who started a blog called Mr. Chienbeard, retired in 2005 at age 30 not because of inheritance or entrepreneurship, but on normal middle-class engineering wages. In January 2012, Mr. Adney published a post that quietly became popular in personal finance. Summed up in one sentence, "The time you reach retirement, age depends only on one factor: your savings rate as a percentage of your paid-in salary." That is it. Not your income, not your zip code, not whether you can choose stocks like Warren Buffett, just your savings rate. The following table asks readers to rethink their entire career. Assuming an actual return of about 5% and an exit rule of 4%, save 10% of your take-home pay, and you can work for about 51 years. The standard track in the United States, save 25%, or about 32 years. Push it to 50% and you are out at 17. At 65%, you'll be free in about 10 minutes. Set the speed to 75% and do it in 7 minutes. Take a closer look at the jump, because 10 to 50%, 1T, double your retirement rate. The reason is that most people are never self-sufficient. The double burden of spending cuts. Cutting spending frees up more cash for investment, while permanently lowering the finish line. So you're sprinting toward your target job, which is moving toward you. That is what most people worry about, because they calculate the numbers, get excited, and then someone reminds them that you can touch your 401k until you are 59 and a half, without paying a 10% fine, plus regular income tax at the top. IRS Theme 558 makes this clear. But the same tax code gives you 4 legal exports that most people have never heard of. The first exit is Rule 55. If you leave on or after the calendar year, you turn 55. You can take money from your employer, S 401k ticket. No special documents, no Form 72T, nothing. Fidelity, Schwab, and Bankrate all confirmed the rule. For some public safety workers, like the police and firefighters, the eligible age has actually dropped to 50. The problem is that this applies only to your most recent employer plan, not the IRR. So if you transfer 401k to the IRR on the day you go out, you are completely excluded from the rule. The second exit rule, Rule 72T, also known as SEP, is rarely discussed. Section 72T of the Internal Revenue Code, which calculates payments based on your life expectancy, allows you to receive substantially equal periodic payments from the ERA at any age without penalty. However, once you start, you must stay at least 5 years or until age 59 and a half, whichever is longer. And violating the program triggers the IRS to recover every fine you avoid, plus interest on the top. You either go all out or don't start. Exit 3 is the Ross transition ladder, which the FIRE community almost regards as sacred geometry. Each year, you convert a chunk of a traditional 401k or IRA into a Roth IRA and pay general income tax in the year of conversion. After a 5-year seasoning period, the converted principal is completely tax-free and free of fines, no matter how old you are. Add 1 conversion a year, and in 5 years, you have a rolling cash flow. And NerdWallet and Investopedia have a clear workflow. This strategy is perfectly legal, but it is rarely advertised by securities firms that prefer to hold money for longer periods of time. Exit 4 is HSA, which I would call your invisible retirement account. If you participate in the high-deductible health plan, the health savings account will become the only account with a triple tax advantage in the entire US tax code, which means pre-tax entry, tax-free growth, and tax-free withdrawal of eligible medical expenses. Fidelity has been making a fuss about the issue for years. The hacker behind the hacker is to keep your medical receipts, but never reimburse yourself today. Compound the money for 20 years, and then use the receipts for decades to exempt you from taxes when you really need cash. 4 legal withdrawals, 0 fines, all written in the same tax code, are said to lock up money until you are 59 and a half. I won't sell you fairy tales because the audience is too smart for icing, and the risks here are real. The first risk is the return sequence, which means that if you encounter a brutal bear market in the first 3 years of retirement, as we saw in 2000 or 2008, when stocks fall to the cost of living of the fund, you sell stocks, which may permanently weaken the investment portfolio and make long-term average returns look good on paper. The second biggest risk comes from inflation. In an interview with CNBC on the 3rd of September, 2025, Bill Bengen, the actual creator of the 4% rule called inflation retirees, the biggest enemy, and he was the real inventor of the rule. Mr. Bengen has now updated his guidance to an initial withdrawal rate of 4.7%, but only because of broader asset diversification, which he still recommends keeping around 4.1% for more than 40 years of FIRE retirement. The third risk is pre-Medicare health insurance, which does not take effect until age 65. Between early retirement and age 65, you navigate the ACA market, where premium subsidies depend on your revised adjusted gross income, which means that early retirees can actually get a lot of subsidies by withdrawing cash from the Ross ladder. Mr. Kipling said the aggressive pursuit of these subsidies could create tax problems in the future, and the level of subsidies itself remains politically unstable every year. The fourth risk is the human aspect, which is the most vulnerable to tripping. According to survey data released by the American Association of Retirees on the 5th of February, 2026, 7% of retirees have re-entered the labor market only in the past 6 months, and 48% of them admit to returning purely for economic needs. Some came back because their math was wrong. Others came back because retirement itself shattered them, lost their identity, lost their structure. 35 years of empty Tuesday afternoon. Bengen's 4% rule never had a column to describe this, which doesn't mean you shouldn't retire early. That means planning your life, not just spreadsheets. One solution to many of the anxieties found in the FIRE community is that you don't actually have to do extreme versions. There are about 5 flavors, one of which may be appropriate for your current real life. Lean FIRE means a minimum budget for retirement, usually less than $40,000 a year, with maximum freedom and minimal cushion. Fat FIRE means spending more than £100,000 a year on retirement. And the same principle applies to higher numbers. That is, eating well, not ramen. Barista Fire, a name for those who specialize in healthcare at Starbucks, means giving up major and part-time jobs to get benefits and wages to pay your current bills, while your portfolio remains unchanged. Coast Fire means actively saving in your 30s and 40s and then completely stopping new contributions, making just enough to cover today's expenses, while compound interest pays the rest before the traditional retirement age. Conventional firepower is straight 25x rule. Period. Go away. If you are 50 and have a decent savings account, a coastal fire could mean you can switch to a less stressful job tomorrow morning. If you are 58 years old and have a full 401k fund, the 55-year-old rule may mean you are free, but you have not yet submitted documents. The point has never been to reach a particular age of magic, but 67 or bust has always been a marketing slogan, not a law of physics. Let me take it all the way home. The traditional retirement script, built for a world that no longer exists, says work until age 67, apply for Social Security, and pray for money to last. Pensions have largely disappeared. Inflation is quietly redefining comfort, even its meaning. The Social Security Bureau itself confirmed that a 62-year-old application could reduce checks by about 30% a month compared with a full retirement age application. On the other side of the ledger, the real side, your goal is $1.26 million, depending entirely on what you spend, not what you earn. You have a 4.7% withdrawal rule, updated by the person who invented it in 1994. You have a 55 rule, a 72T rule, a Ross ladder, and an HSA. And 4 legal doors go straight through the so-called 59.5 trap. You have data going back to the early 1990s, which is not a theory at all, because real people with fixed wages have been doing this for 30 years. Here is what I hope you can really bring tonight. The question has never been whether you can retire before age 59. The real question is how much time you're willing to spend in exchange for something you don't actually need. Run your own numbers. Calculate your real savings rate, not what you want. And look honestly at Mr. Chian's beard watch. Choose the smell of fire that matches the life you really want. And then talk to fee-only trust advisors before you pull any trigger, because each of these strategies has details hidden in IRS code. If this video even gives you an idea you've never thought about before, click the like button because it does help the channel, and then subscribe, because next week I'll analyze Ross's transition ladder in detail year after year, using the real number of retirees at 55. The retirement industry keeps telling you when to stop working. The IRS wrote you 4 exits. You just need to know they're there. See you next time.